Here are the top 4 running backs to sell in 2025 Dynasty Fantasy Football. Let's start with number 4, James Conner, age 30, Arizona Cardinals. Those who follow me know I am a James Conner guy. Been with him since the Steelers. In the Steelers days, I wasn't as hot, but when he got to Arizona, from that point on, I was as high on James Conner as anyone in the industry. Man plays amazing high-level football in the last 2 years. He's really backed that up. 4.6 and 5 yards per carry. Those were among his career highest numbers. Last 2 seasons, the only 2,000-yard rushing seasons in his 8-year career. Continues to not only be a power runner, but to break tackles at an 85th percentile rate. Obviously great in short yardage situations. Can catch the ball. Very functional, high-level back. Heart and soul of that Arizona Cardinals team, which is why they rewarded him with a contract last year, adding a couple of years on. But here's what I have to say now. James Conner's played as well as he could the last 2 years, and he did miss time at the end of 2024, but we're hitting 30 now, and Conner has had a very significant workload, even with the missed time. Been a physical runner, taken on a lot of contact. The injury history has been real. Selling now is the time to do it. Trey Benson was drafted in 2024, and look, Conner is still the guy now. But if any decline starts hitting, you'll see a little more in the snap share for Benson. It's going to transition. Sell ahead of time on this one, because once Conner shows decline, the value is going to go because of his age, because not too many people are looking to buy 30-year-old running backs. But the contract in the last 2 seasons might be able to get that done for you now while you can. Number 3, Kyren Williams, Los Angeles Rams. Some people hate me for this one. Kyren Williams has been a very, very productive runner. Last year stayed healthy. But I will say this, Kyren Williams was less efficient in 2024 than he was in 2023. Now, he had 88 more rushing attempts in 2024 than 2023. So that happens when he missed time in 2023. Remember, Kyren Williams had missed 12 games in his first 2 years before playing all but the meaningless Week 18 game last year when they didn't play their starters at all. But anyway, with those 88 additional rushing attempts, yes, he got his career high in rushing yards, 1,299, and he had 14 touchdowns. He's been a major factor for Sean McVay at the goal line during his time there. I will say this, and I mentioned earlier, remember, 12 missed game in 2 seasons, and the Rams just really gave him all-out work. It was 350 touches he had last year, and that was after they drafted Blake Corum. That surprised me. But like I said earlier, the fact that the efficiency had gone down for Williams, and here's how I'm going to quantify that. First of all, with the offensive line for the Rams was very good, especially at downhill blocking, which Williams runs that pretty well. Kyren Williams was only in the 16th percentile in broken tackle rate. He was 55th percentile in yards after contact, which again is above average, but it's not much above average. It's not a great running back. In a way, he's kind of a compiler. You know, some people get upset with that, but it kind of the way it is. And he's in a great situation, and he understands running at the goal line well. Ball security has been an issue for Kyren Williams. He fumbled 3 times in 2022, but now you flash forward all the way to last year, 2024, 5 times and 316 carries. At some point, those fumbles will be a problem. And remember, there's a big fumble in a playoff game. I know there was snow involved. They could blame it on that, but there have been some fumble issues. At some point, Sean McVay may just decide to give Blake Corum that shot. And if Blake Corum gets in there, and I know he had such limited work last year, never gotten a rhythm, so we don't know what he really is. But look, higher draft pedigree. Williams was the 5th round. Corum was the 3rd round. Corum tested as a much, much better athlete. And I do think there's a world where Corum, once he gets a chance, it's going to be hard for Kyren Williams, even though Sean McVay likes using that lead back. So I would sell Kyren Williams now again, while his value is still sky high. If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, did you know you can get a free 2-day trial? You don't even need a credit card at RotoWire. Check out all of our sports rankings, articles, everything we have. Get that free trial. Go to rotowire.com/Jim. Check us out. If you like what you see, join the team. And if not, we just happy you took by, checked us out, gave us a look, see what we're all about. All right, let's get to our last 2 players that we want to sell in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Number 2, Kenneth Walker, Seattle Seahawks. Did you know that Kenneth Walker's yards per carry have dropped since 4.6 as a rookie down to 4.1 in 2023, down to 3.7 last year? Very interesting. And now the offensive line has been pretty equal. I know that in this first year of the line, there are 2 tackles who are now in their 4th year. They played well for a while that rookie year, but that line hasn't been great. And what I did notice about Kenneth Walker during his time in the league, he breaks tackles. He's very good at that. But the yardage after the tackles isn't always great. Like again, last year, Walker was 98th percentile in broken tackle rate, but only 38th percentile in yards after contact. Now, he's a regular in the end zone. Last 3 years, he's money, 9, 9, and 8. So he's always going to be getting you a source of touchdowns. So that helps. The receptions were a little inflated. He averaged his first 2 years, 36 catches, 212 yards. But we saw last year, 46 catches, 53 targets, 299 yards, but it was only 6.5 yards per catch. And that was down from, he had 2 full more yards his first 2 seasons. He was like 8.5 in 2023. So he was down significantly. So he's even lost some of the pop there. When I watched Zach Charbonnet play, there were times Zach Charbonnet looked like he was a different style of back, but he looked like he was a bit more effective. Kenneth Walker has always kind of been a boom bust runner. He really does perceive to me, he can get goal line work, but he really should be a change of pace guy. And I think eventually, if the continued inefficiency for Walker continues, Charbonnet will get a bigger workload. This is the time to sell Walker. Look, in redraft leagues, we're talking Dynasty here, he's still going around running back 15. So the market, even in single year leagues, is really valuing Walker. But in Dynasty, I really think this is the time to get out from under him while he still has a little bit of that value from those first 3 years. And let's go to number 1 now. Sell James Cook at the Buffalo Bills. Another one not going to be popular here. So James Cook, no question, he was amazing in 2024. Now, here's the underlying things you need to know, though. So Cook had 30 less rushing attempts and 12 less receptions in 2024 than he had in 2023. Remember 2023? He had 1,567 scrimmage yards. He dropped 300 scrimmage yards, but only dropped 42 touches. Massive drop. So why was Cook a fantasy superstar? Remember his first 33 career games? He scored 7 touchdowns, 1 in 5 games as well. He scored 18 times, once per game in 2024. It's a massive number. Not many running backs are turning in an 18 touchdown season. Now, he breaks tackles well, 75th percentile. But again, yards after contact, 56th percentile. Here's the problem. We've seen the last 2 years now, James Cook has become less efficient toward the end of the season. Coming into the league, we thought he was one of those running backs who was probably not a full volume guy. And Buffalo's doubled down on that. So last year, through week 10, James Cook had played at least 54% of the snaps in 7 of 9 games. But then from week 11 on, 36 to 46% of the snaps, we saw a big drop. Now, of course, your numbers are going to drop for fantasy if your snap share is dropping, but his efficiency wasn't the same either. As he gets worn down, it shows. Now, we saw in terms of rushing attempts, Cook had 11 or fewer rushing attempts 7 times in 16 games. And remember, Ray Davis got signed. Now, Ray Davis was functioning as a number 3. Ty Johnson played more than Ray Davis, but we still saw Cook snaps go from 610 to 463. That's intentional. The drafting of Ray Davis was intentional. Bringing back Ty Johnson, intentional. James Cook says he wants more money. James Cook says he wants more carries, more touches. He's not built for more touches. He may get the money, sell James Cook off an 18 touchdown season in Dynasty because he's a running back that may end up a year or 2 from now being closer to that 450 snaps as opposed to the 600.